So, I was talking about the percentage of people in broad terms who are passive, submissive in BDSM, and what percentage of those actually enter the play arena and actually have BDSM dates. And I came to the conclusion about 20 odd years ago that around 70% of submissives never have any real contact with a top or a master. It is actually a purely distanced arousal technique for them, something which is at the time I used to find rather frustrating, especially when submissives would go in for quite a big play of arranging dates, arranging locations, etc. Now I have a whole slick backup system whereby I can eliminate this kind of thing. Not because I don't regard it as illegitimate, but I do. One of the keystones of BDSM is honesty. One must be honest with oneself. One must be honest with others, and especially as a master, you are in a situation where you have to be totally responsible in some instances for somebody else's welfare and well-being. So you have to think about what you're doing, think it through, avoid accidents, so that physical or psychological damage, and come out the other side of the scene, and hopefully with the relationship, if there is one, whereby you're both enhanced and it's a positive, liberating experience. So for a lot of players, a lot of submissives, they're actually non-players, so they never actually get to this point. Like all pornography, and this is one of the problems of pornography, is that it's a loop, an enclosed loop. After arousal and maybe fulfillment, a man can, or a woman can, get up from the table or the bed and then go on and get on and do the rest of their day's work, or go back to work, having been sitting in the toilets. And it doesn't go any further forward than that until the next time. But that in itself is legitimate. One of the question marks and one of the factors that's raised with me, often really by sophisticated straight women, sometimes by men, but that's usually the constituency that raises this, is what about agency? What about how do you balance a submissive life, or submissive role, with social and familial involvement and integrity? And the answer is, in the previous talk I said that a lot of submissives anyway are not actually involved. It's in relationships, so it doesn't actually ever come, it never becomes a question of they have to choose between X and Y. But actually, like all real life situations, it's never a dichotomy. If once you've chosen to do something, there are many ways in which real life and a private life are reconciled. Obviously, for some groups, we don't need to necessarily mention who they are, where a complete and tight heterosexual family life is not only the norm but required, then BDSM male to male is going to be difficult, if not impossible. But for most men and women who have professed a gay life, most people have an integration with their families in Western countries at least. And the same goes for those who wish to pursue a BDSM life. So the first part is that I said that 70% of submissives never actually have a scene. That leaves 30% who do, and they will be men who possibly see a master or a top once a month, once a year, sometimes once every few years, and that's enough. The memory goes on. What happens in that scene is minutely remembered and savoured over many, many nights and months and years, and is a form of a very much stronger form of arousal. And this happens in all sexual situations.